Right, so tomorrow we're going to take our first test, and it's on sections 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. You should be doing a little studying on top of your homework tonight. Some study suggestions would be to look in your skills book and look over your homework between 2.1 and 2.3. Also do the same thing for your textbook. Look at through the sections that we completed. Do you understand how to do those? I would also go back and look at what we did in our review today and see how well you did. The review is going to be the same types of problems you're going to see in your test. So you need to remember to read very carefully. You're going to identify the slope, which in this case is here, and the y-intercept because you started with 650. Okay. When you write a function, you're going to use f of something unless otherwise told to. So here, as we did in class, you should have f of d for dollars. And when it says define your variables, that means that you need to say f of d represents how much yen we have, and that d is where you plug in your US dollars. And make sure you can write those in sentence form. If you had a hard time with this, I would recommend that you write it out again, or write it out in words that make sense to you. When you write things, you're seeing them, you're reading them, and they have the physical activity of writing them. That's 3 times to help remember how you do something. Remember, classify function means it's going to be linear, exponential, quadratic. Obviously, this one should be linear. There's a slope and a y-intercept. And then you need to be able to plug into your function. This says how much yen would Patricia get for exchanging $250. So $250 should go in for D for dollars, and then you'll have to do some equation work. The next one talks about the helicopter, and it comes from the ground, so your y-intercept was 0 because it starts at the ground, and a constant rate, which obviously it should be slope, 20 feet per second. Remember, you need to look at the slope to be able to determine the independent and dependent. So independent is going to be time always, with seconds as its units. Therefore, dependent would be the distance or how high it is in feet. And explain your reasoning means you need to put it in sentences. The independent is the time, and the dependent is the height in feet. Okay, so you're going to put those in here. And then quantity is just asking for the units. And so at 0, how far is it off the ground? Obviously that should be 20, right? And you need to make sure that you can write the equation. This is 20t, and then you can have plus 0, but you don't need it. So this right here should be the same thing for this question right here. And then again, when exactly will the helicopter be 20 feet off the ground? 20 feet, that's the dependence, so that has to go in for your f of x or your h of t, depending on what you do here. So you have to make sure you can plug that in, right? Again, on this one you have, you're starting with 5 gallons, so that should be your y-intercept. We're adding to it, so it's a positive 4.5 gallons per minute. Write a function for the scenario above. So again, you want to write the equation. Identify the input, the output, the y-intercept, and write a change and use sentences. So remember, your input is going to be your t, time. Your output is going to be your answer, your f of x. The y-intercept's where you start, 5 gallons. And the rate of change is 4.5 gallons per minute. Whenever you have that rate, you know that's the rate of change. You need to write it in sentences, okay? And then the last one has you using some inequalities, just like 2.3 in your homework the other day, the first part. So again, for this one, if you didn't get it when we went over it in class, you have to write an inequality and number sentence. So it says this is the total sales of tickets. So when will there at least be, what's supposed to be $600 in sales? So you have to go to your 600, go over and go down, so that's 10 tickets. So on that we should have X, it says least, so that means have to be that much or more. So that should be greater than or equal to, do a little underline here, And then we said that that was 10 tickets, right? And then you have to draw the number line also. So on this, you have to know that when you draw your line here, and it can doesn't have to be something too crazy. We have, let's say, 0 here, and then we can go by twos. 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Make sure you know open circle or closed circle. You should remember that when it includes it, that's a closed circle. And then at least means that much or more. So it should be greater than, should be going to the right. So you have to be able to come up with this inequality, and you have to be able to come up with the graph. And then on the test, it'll ask you to write a sentence. So you'll need to say that Elena needs to sell 10 tickets or more to make at least $600. Okay? So that part, I feel like you guys got a pretty good hanging on. And then just this one, exactly, need to remember exactly is your equals. So if we look at, this is 200, therefore this must be going up by hundreds. So we have 1200, 1300, we're going to go across for 1300 and down, and it says exactly, so that should be x equals, what did we say that was? 80. Okay, so my suggestion is to make sure you understand every aspect of the review that we did today, and also go through 2.1 to 2.3 in your textbook and in your skills book. And if you can do those things, you'll be doing fine tomorrow.